What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Duke Crew. This is Ball Hawk Ifeatu Melifonwu of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live and Coach Dan by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
All right, Detroit Lions fans, greetings and salutations. Welcome to Lions Talk Live. I messed that up, but hey, it happens. I'm in the middle of work and stuff and trying to get this over to you as quick as possible. But greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining me. Hey, middle of the day, Lions Talk Live. It's just before 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and in a couple minutes, we're going to have Hutch Jr. joining us as long as he can make it in time. He is trying to scramble. He was at the draft last night. He's trying to get everything up. But hey, as you can probably tell for this thumbnail, Detroit Lions have a bit of breaking news. Detroit Lions have picked up the fifth-year option for both Aiden Hutchinson and Jameson Williams. You guys know there's been a lot of speculation about what would happen with Hutch. Oh, excuse me, not Hutch, but Jameson Williams. That's been put to rest, at least for now. I think we can all say for the next 2 years, he's going to be a Detroit Lion. Brad Holmes came out and talked about it last night in the post-draft presser that, hey, they don't really, and I'm paraphrasing here, really have any plans to move on from the guy, nor did I think anybody really felt who paid attention to the Detroit Lions that they would. So it's really good news that for the foreseeable future, one of the fastest wide receivers in the entire NFL, who's still emerging, still developing, still showing promise, has got a lot of promise, and the Lions apparently think so too because they're going to keep him in-house for the next year or two, or next 2 years with the fifth-year option. Also, Aiden Hutchinson, if there's any kind of questions about him recovering from that gruesome injury he suffered against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas about a year ago, you know what? I think that's kind of puts it to rest. Hutch is perhaps a generational talent on the edge. You could argue that Jameson Williams is as well. Hutchinson is, if nothing else, one of the top 3 to 4 ends on the entire NFL. It's going to be hard to find anybody better than him. And you know what? We all been speculating for some time now. Will the Lions look to re-sign him sooner versus later? Would they look to do something with Jameson Williams sooner versus later? I think this is a big step forward for Lions fans identifying what the future of this franchise is, where we're going to go with things. I don't know the full terms of it yet, but with the fifth-year option, it's not like negotiating a new contract. I'm sure we can all understand that we got things in play with it. I want to say Jameson Williams' numbers have already been revealed. I'm sure we'll have later today or tomorrow Hutchinson's numbers revealed, and then we can all dive into that. And we all get it. It's about day 2 of the NFL draft. We've got, don't maybe do the math in my head, but hey, later tonight, how about that? We'll have round 2 of the NFL draft. There'll be a bunch of speculation where the Lions are going to go with this day 2 pick in the second round, third round, etc. Could the Lions trade up? Could they trade back? Could they do whatever? We'll have to wait and see what all is revealed. What we do know, though, is that Brad Holmes continues the trend for re-signing their own players. They made it apparent with Kirby Joseph. They're not letting Hutchinson or Jameson Williams walk. Williams, as you guys know, you had to pick up the fifth-year option for him next week. I wasn't exactly sure when the fifth-year option needed to be picked up on Hutchinson, but perhaps it was about the same time offhand. I don't know it off the top of my noggin. All right, Duke Crew, let's get over to you guys. What do you think of the first-round pick last night? What do you think of these re-signings? What do you think of the fact that you got Kirby Joseph re-signing, the fifth-year options being picked up on the same day for J-Mo and Hutch Jr., excuse me, Hutch. So it does seem like the Lions are definitely trending towards doing something, getting everything done, getting this roster firmed up, addressing things before the draft. There was some speculation on this morning's show with Kurt Steele. He thinks the last night's signing or drafting of Williams for the defensive line is another signal towards Zadarius Smith returning towards Detroit. I'm going to start speculating here, and that's all it is. You put Hutch on one side, Z Smith on the other side, Davenport as a backup, Levi Onwuzurike, Tyree Williams on the ends, Lee McNeil when he gets back, DJ Reader, Roy Lopez. I mean, man, that defensive line, Alaquin Muhammad, it starts looking pretty dang deep and impressive. You could have a massive wall of people that you're going to have to try to run through or pass on a regular basis. All right, let me go to the top of the screen, see what you guys have to say. If you have any suggestions or picks, thoughts, ideas, who the Lions would take in the second round or third round, throw it on over. Dave, question mark, 100%. Yes. Well, the question is, what was probably the headline about? I'm guessing now you know, so there you go. Richard, 5th-year extension. You are correct, Richard. Yes, both guys got their 5th-year extensions. They're going to be Lions for the foreseeable future. Michigan Panther Pride, what's up, Coach Dan Adukru? Back at you. Hopefully you're having a good day and a busy day. I know it's in the middle of your season. Chrome, Coach Chrome. Oh, there you go. Troy, love these alerts. Hey, positive news, I would think. Kurt, I guess we'll go with that. Papa Noel, trade? No trades, at least not as yet. Maybe later today. Great Lakes States. Hey, Coach, exclamation point. Good morning again. Have a great day. Back at you, my friend. Thanks for always being a part of it. Hookadoo, what's the good word, Dan? Hey, Hutchinson, Aiden Hutchinson. I always want to say Hutch Jr. now. Aiden Hutchinson picked up his 5th-year option, or the team did. Same with Jameson Williams. You know, you had the speculation for a couple weeks. Dave Burkett, everybody else in, ESPN or whatever, the mothership, talking about potentially the Lions trading him. Brad Holmes did shoot it down last night, and you know what? I think they really shot it down with picking up the option. All right, Great Lakes, breaking. Hey, just don't break the players, right? 9 drinks, can't wait, 100%. Chrome, let's flip and go. I'm down with that. Donkey Kong, nice. I think so, man. I think it was a real good move. Haters House picking up the 5th year on Hutch and JMO. Correct with that. Great Lakes, wow, that's crazy. Something big is cooking. I think so. I won't be surprised if later on today we find out the Lions trade up. And my thought is they're going to trade up from the 3rd round back into the 2nd round, get 2 guys in the 2nd round. We'll see if that shakes out, though. Donkey Kong, that squashes some things. I would think so. Yeah, some of those rumors and speculations are now done, so. Great Lakes, glad Brad did that. Put the stupid rumors to bed. Less distractions. Agreed. And I know I don't always like reporting on that stuff, but part of the job of a reporter is keeping people informed. Big D, let's go! Exclamation point. Waymo, my boy, JMO. Yeah, JMO. I know everybody's got different opinions on him. I get when he was first drafted. Hey, you're the 12th overall pick. People have expectations. It's also, to be fair to the kid, he wasn't healthy. He had the ACL tear. He had to recover. It was his 2nd year, it was his rookie year. Had some struggles, had some drops. You can see he hadn't been taught much from a mechanical standpoint on how to get in and out of routes, how to use his body to cut and stuff like that, his elbows, his knees, his foot placement. But the Lions have cleared up a lot of that stuff. And I'll say this forever. When Jameson Williams, when he watched all that stuff I just mentioned coming to play in the NFL, it's like, man, what was his college coaches teaching him, if anything? And maybe that's a question we'll have to dive into during the offseason. James, I'm glad that JMO's staying put. Me too, man. Me too. Egon, now would be the time to move up. They might just do it. James, do you think the Lions will get James Houston from Cleveland? He's been released. At least last I knew, Houston was released by the Browns, so I think he's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, James Allen. Manfred, great news, exclamation point. Now get Z back. That's what Kurt Steele was talking about. He was saying, hey, get him back. He thinks he's going to do it. He thought the move last night was kind of a precursor. And there's been a lot of speculation about it that Zadarius Smith may indeed, however, had some sort of verbal communication with the Detroit Lions saying, hey, I'll come back, but I want the summer off, things like that or whatever. I get it, man. He's 32, going to be 33 when the season rolls around. He already, he knows all the stuff to do. Now it's more about trying to keep his body preserved longer in the season. Chrome, use one of those 3rd rounds next year and move up. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think the cost to move up in the 2nd round, you saw some wild trades last night. Man, the one to get James Pierce Jr., I thought that should have been like an early 1st round trade. But you know what? If somebody's going to offer you something and you Don't blink, take it. What it's going to cost to move up, I guess wait and see, man. I do think the Lions are going to move up and get 2 second round picks today, though. All right, Mary, great. Yes, I think it is. Great Lakes State guys, glad they just extended Hutch. Make sure that leg is okay. They can always extend sooner than later. Agreed. And I'm guessing they picked up that 5th-year option because they're pretty firm in the belief that he's fully okay. Okay, we locked up Road Runner in the 5th beep beep. Yeah, bye Coyotes. I'm down with that. Yes, Jameson Williams is a little bit of the Road Runner. He is that fast. Motown Mitch Hex. Yes, I'll go with that. Lionel, not a fan of last night's pick, but Uwerka is still available. Exclamation point. Let's get him. Woo! They could be, and I do think they will address the line. If they don't, I guess that really does need to tell us all they think they've got it all done in house as far as the pass rush. Paul, let's go. I'm down with that. And a lot of Lions. Great Lakes, I agreed to 2nd rounders that we can't call a draft. We can call it a draft. Mans, what do you got? Why would the Lions take if they could have traded down and grab him in the first half of the second? I think to your question, I know we talked about in the morning show. I think the Lions were trying to trade down. My problem is, was it the Rams traded down and then somebody else? I don't remember who the other team was. And both of those were just a few picks ahead of the Lions. I think if one of those teams don't do it, the Lions probably would have traded down and probably, I don't know if they would have got Williams, but they probably would have been looking at him if they could have. The problem is you got jumped. 2 teams jumped you in those trades. You lost out. All right, let's see. Manfred, D-line looking good. Secondary is stacked. Offense is elite with J-Mo locked in now. If the Lions pick up Zadarius Smith back, I hope they go O-line in the 2nd round. Could be. Definitely could be. All right, let's head on over to our special guest for this one. He's the guy who got me over the news. His mic just went off. He'll be right back, and it'll be Hutch Jr. One funky, the rumors won't stop. People like them too much, and picking up 5th year just makes J-Mo more interesting to other teams. Doesn't mean you can't trade him. This is true. I don't want him gone. Yeah, it is true. You can still trade him. I just don't think at this point you're looking at him being traded based on them picking up the 5th, watching him in non-voluntary workouts, go through stuff. He seemed like a pretty happy guy, so I'm guessing he'll be on over. So, all right, let me check real quick. Hutch Jr.'s computer crashed, so he'll be right back, he says. Danny Donald, I think if they bring Z-Man back, it'll be like DJ Reader contract or JD Reader contract paid to play. Could be. On Pride, now it's time for Brad to grab a few decades of beef up front in the O-line holes. I think we all are the assumption Christian Mahogany is going to step in and take over one of the offensive guard spots and probably on the left side. So I think now the question is, do they believe that Graham Glasgow is the man on the right side or Giovanni Manu? All right, you guys all know him. Let's bring him on here before we have any computer issues. Hutch Jr., you got the story over to me. What do you think this tells all Lions fans that you're picking up the day after the first round draft, day of the draft, these 5th-year options?
Yeah, I think it. I think the big thing is, I think it shuts down the J-Mo rumors that actually we found out late last night that it was never a thing. Big thing to me was Brad Holmes came out right and said it. He said, "Yeah, I don't know who started this rumor, but me and Dan have never talked about this." So this to me tells me either one of two things: they are very interested in keeping J-Mo for a long term, which means someone's going to be the odd man out, like we've talked about. And then picking up Hutch is one of those things where I think you pick up Hutch to make sure that his leg is fully healed, which I think it is. Right. I think it's just kind of a safety precaution of, hey, we're going to pick this up, but we're still working on your long-term deal. There's been many reports to this offseason, even while the Kirby Joseph contract is getting signed, that they are going to sign Hutch. But, I mean, you're basically picking up Hutch's and J-Mo's option for probably what? I mean, 30-ish, 35 million combined. They're probably contracts are. Right. So, I mean, you're getting a guy that had 9.5, 8.5 sacks last year through 6 games, and you're having a guy that had 50 catches for 1,000 yards at 30 million combined. That's a steal in most cases, and it gives Brad some flexibility. Maybe if he does want to make a trade for somebody, he can go do that. If he wants, I highly think he's going to take a DN. He's probably going to trade up in the second round today, just by what kind of he was saying. It sounds like his guy. I think his guy last night was James Pierce, and I think the Falcons kind of came in and swept that off him, and then he went the big body in the middle. So, yeah, I wasn't too upset about the draft pick, but picking up JMO and Hutch's 5th-year option was a really, really good thing for this team.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. Just watching their body language in the war room. I mean, maybe they've just calmed down. Maybe they don't pound the tables like they used to. Who knows what they were trying to do? Maybe they were trying to trade back. I think I'll stick with this. I know I talked about it this morning. I do think the Lions were trying to trade back in the early second round, probably with the Giants. But unfortunately, the Giants, worked with somebody in front of us, and that probably squashed that. When you look at Williams, though, the person who was drafted, what do you think of this kid? Because some of his just combine numbers are off the chart. Finding guys that are 6'3", 330, 340 pounds that run a 40-yard dash in 4.65, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's 6'4", like 340 or something like that. The guy's a big body, and if you go look at his tape and play, if you go watch his tape in Ohio State, man, he doesn't get you a lot of sacks, but the thing he does is he's hard to move. And if you go watch when Michigan played, I kind of was rewatching tapes last night. When you watch Michigan play, they could not move this guy. I mean, this guy is a force in the middle. And I think the big thing is you got to look at what we're kind of stuck with right now. I mean, you don't have McNeil till November. So your starting D tackles were going to be DJ Reader, Levi, and Broderick Martin. I'm sorry, but those guys aren't going to stop the run. DJ Reader is kind of that guy. I think we got lightning in the bottle with him. He was fairly healthy last year. That was kind of one of the big things that I was surprised by. Hopefully he does the same thing this year. It'd be great. But DJ Reader's off his contract next year. So this is kind of like Aleem's going to be injured. DJ Reader's contract's expiring next year. We got a cheaper DJ Reader, bigger body. And the guy can move, man. If you go watch his combine and he was doing the shuttle drill with the little moving things, the guy has motion. I mean, he was, the swim moves, the spins, the whatever. But I know a lot of people are mad that he fell down during his 40. But this guy's going to come in. The D-line coach that we got from the Bucs is going to make this guy a beast. And I even think you can just take him and Aleem and put them side by side. And what's the best way to get to the quarterback? You shut the pocket out in the middle and you let your edges come in. When you got two dudes at 300 plus, good luck stopping these guys.
Right. So let's also talk about it. When you look at the Lions now, I think we all agree they probably want to get a little bit more depth at pass rusher. But you look at what they now have with Hutchinson, and I'm guessing with the 5th-year option, that's a signal he's viewed by the medical staff as fully healed. You look at Aleem McNeil when he's back, and he's probably going to miss the first half of the season. DJ Reed, Roy Lopez, Levi Onwuzurike, I guess Marcus Davenport, Alaquin Muhammad. Man, I forgot about Josh Pascal, and now you add Williams to that mix. I mean, that's a pretty massively big defensive line. How imposing is that going to be for most opposing teams?
Yeah, I think that you touched on. I mean, that's a lot of names, a lot of depth. I still don't think they're done. I would like them to see maybe if they trade up and get. I don't think Mike Green's probably coming to Detroit. There's a lot of character issues with the guy. That's kind of why he's falling down draft boards. Even another big body I would love to get is that Boston College D end. That dude is an animal. He had 16 sacks last year, 80 tackles. I think 17 of them were solo or some crazy stuff like that. If you get him and you add him with Hutch in this line, that's huge. But I also don't think Zadarius Smith is still out of the question. I would not be surprised if we draft and then re-sign Z, and now you're talking about Zadarius, Levi, McNeil, Hutch, whoever you draft this year, Williams. So now, your weakest point now became one of your strong points. I think everywhere else we've kind of addressed as far as in the offseason with the cornerbacks. Linebacker, we're still pretty depth. We got Barnes coming back, Rodrigo coming back, Anzalone, Campbell. So, yeah, I think D-line, I think Braden Holmes knows that's his bread and butter where he needs to touch. But once you start getting that depth with what we've kind of done in the offseason, I know the signings were big splashes. I know everyone's like, Roy Lopez, why'd we get this guy? Big body, 1-year deal. But the thing is, if you look at last year, we were just so injury prone with these guys that we had nothing going. Wingo was a guy that everyone
We haven't even mentioned.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned. Everyone mentions Broderick Martin, but I felt like Wingo was on the field a lot last year, and then he got injured, and then we just never knew. So Wingo's going to come in, I think. Another name I obviously wouldn't mind. I've seen in the chat is Jordan Birch from Oregon. I've always been high on that guy. He is a beast. I think he's like 6'6" or 6'7". He's like 245. And he had, I think, 8.5 or 9.5 sacks this year with Oregon. But yeah, I mean, Brad Holmes, I don't know what he's going to do today. I just could tell by the presser he was kind of irritated that somebody went. Obviously, he's not going to ever tell us who it was, but I think he's going to trade up, obviously, and get whoever he wants. Everyone last night at the draft party, man, they're like, Will Johnson is right there. Will Johnson's right there. Take Will Johnson. I'm like, I would love Will Johnson. Don't get me wrong, but you got to be careful of those knee injuries, man. I want Will Johnson on this team, but you might get him in the second round. You might get him in the third. Who knows? That'd be quite the fall off, but who knows?
All right, Hutch Jr., why don't we wrap this one up? Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about yourself, give yourself a shout out, tell them where they can find you, support you, etc.
Yeah, as always, you can find me on here, man. Dan, thanks for having me this morning. Good news with JMO and Hutch getting picked up, so that's huge news. But as always, guys, you can find me on Twitter, the one and only Hutch Jr. You can also find me on Facebook. I am on there with all the news as well. You can just find me at Mike KEK. That is me with some Lions AI picture. So if you see that, that's me. But as always, cmvradio.com as well.
Richard, it is a tradition on Lions Talk Live. If anybody sends us over anything from Delicious Mountain Dew and hot dog, we give them a. It is a firm tradition. All right, guys, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. Hutch Jr., thanks for getting this over to me. Thanks for all you do for the fan base. Hey, we'll see what the Lions do tonight. Brad Holmes, what Scooby-Doo secrets they've got. And if they make some trades up, trade backs, I do think they're going to have 2 second-round picks, though, today. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit all the buttons. And we'll see you guys all on the next Lions Talk Live. Have a great day, everybody.
Take it easy.
You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.